how to overcome the challenges of budgeting and start taking control of your money and your life. Welcome to our Practical Budgeting Strategies series. You can find the introduction video in the description below. In this video, we will explore the challenges and emotional barriers such as fear and anxiety that stop many people from budgeting well and regularly. We'll provide actionable strategies to break free from these mental roadblocks. We know that budgeting may not seem fun or exciting. However, neglecting your budget or failing to stick to it can have a devastating impact on your finances over time, and even worse, throw your entire life off course. So stay with me until the end of this video. It could be your best opportunity to take control and secure the financial future you deserve. In the meantime, let me walk you through 3 major risks you face when you don't maintain a solid budgeting habit. Risk number 1, without a solid budgeting habit, you risk falling into debt, which can quickly spiral into financial hardship and stress. Risk number 2, you risk developing poor money habits that could lead to long-term financial instability, or worse, keep you trapped in a cycle of poverty. Risk number 3, perhaps the most heartbreaking risk is this. By avoiding your fears around money, you might unknowingly pass on unhealthy financial behaviors to your children. This could limit their ability to achieve financial success and security in the future. Since the last point has generational consequences, it's absolutely vital to break or prevent the cycle of unhealthy financial habits and safeguard your family's long-term future. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us until the end of this video. We promise it'll be worth your time. The strategies we're about to share will give you the tools to transform your mindset, take control of your financial future, and ultimately boost your happiness and peace of mind along the way. As we've just discussed, budgeting can evoke discomfort for several reasons, primarily rooted in emotional and psychological factors. The truth is, many people find budgeting challenging not because they lack the skills, but because of the emotional associations tied to money. Let's break down the key reasons. Let's face it, talking about budgeting isn't exactly thrilling. For some, it's not just boring, it's downright terrifying. Does the thought of reviewing your finances make your stomach churn? Or do you feel overwhelmed by the idea of tracking every single expense, wondering where to even begin? Or maybe you're paralyzed by the fear of discovering just how much debt you're really in. Or does the thought of cutting back on spending make you feel like you're sacrificing all the joy in your life? Or maybe you feel a deep sense of shame or guilt about past financial mistakes, making it hard to even open your bank statements. Perhaps you're terrified of confronting the reality of your financial situation, fearing it might confirm your worst anxieties about money. Or maybe you feel hopeless, believing that no matter what you do, you'll never be able to get ahead financially. Whatever your circumstance, you're not alone. Many people feel the same way. But here's the hard truth. Avoiding budgeting won't make your money problems disappear. It only delays the inevitable and often makes things worse. The good news? We can help you address every single one of these emotional and psychological barriers, no matter your personal circumstances. And we'll show you exactly how in just a moment. The reality is, most people struggle with budgeting not because they lack knowledge, but because of emotional barriers like fear, shame, or overwhelm. To truly become comfortable tackling your budget head-on and to transform your life in ways you never thought possible, you need to dig deeper into why budgeting feels so uncomfortable. In this video, we'll show you how to break through these roadblocks, take back control of your finances, and create a brighter future, starting today. Let's say it one more time. Many people find budgeting challenging, not because they lack the skills, but because of the emotional associations tied to money. Let's break it down. Fear and anxiety. For many, confronting their financial situation can feel like staring into the unknown. This fear often stems from uncertainty about their spending habits and the potential need to make lifestyle changes. The thought of facing these realities can feel overwhelming, causing them to avoid budgeting altogether. Money shame and guilt. Budgeting can also trigger feelings of shame or guilt, especially if past attempts have failed. People may internalize these emotions, leading to a belief that they're simply bad with money. This negative self-perception can create a cycle of avoidance, making it even harder to take the first step. Perfectionism. Surprisingly, the pressure to create a perfect budget can be paralyzing. Some individuals set unrealistic expectations for themselves, fearing that any deviation from the plan means failure. This all-or-nothing mindset can prevent them from even starting. Other psychological barriers. Scarcity mindset. Budgeting often brings up feelings of restriction and deprivation. People may associate it with giving up the things they enjoy, making it feel like a punishment rather than a tool for financial freedom. Avoidance behavior. For some, the fear of what they might discover is so strong that they choose to ignore their financial situation altogether. This avoidance only deepens the problem, creating more stress in the long run. Loss aversion. Many people are more sensitive to losses than gains. The idea of cutting back on spending or reallocating funds can feel like a loss, even if it leads to long-term benefits. This fear of losing out can make budgeting feel like a painful sacrifice rather than a positive step forward. Decision fatigue. Budgeting requires constant decision-making: what to spend, what to save, and what to cut. For individuals already overwhelmed by daily choices, this added mental load can feel exhausting, leading to procrastination or avoidance. Fear of failure. The fear of not sticking to a budget or falling short of financial goals can be paralyzing. For many, this fear isn't just about numbers, it's about what those numbers represent. It's the fear of discovering how bad things really are. It's the guilt of feeling like you've made mistakes in the past. And it's the overwhelming anxiety of not knowing where to start or whether you can make ends meet. This fear often stems from past experiences. Maybe you've tried budgeting before and it didn't go as planned, or perhaps you lack confidence in your ability to manage money effectively. Whatever the reason, this fear can hold you back from even trying. But here's the truth: failure is not the end. It's just a step in the process. Every misstep is an opportunity to learn and grow. And with the right tools and mindset, you can overcome this fear and take control of your financial future. Social pressure. Peer pressure and societal expectations can also play a role. Keeping up with friends or family members who spend lavishly can make budgeting feel isolating or even embarrassing, leading to resistance. Identity and self-worth. For some, spending habits are tied to their sense of identity or self-worth. For example, someone might equate spending on luxury items with success or happiness. Budgeting can challenge these beliefs, creating an internal conflict that feels deeply personal. Lack of trust in the process. For some, the struggle with budgeting goes even deeper. It's not just about fear or guilt, it's about trust. Many people simply don't believe that budgeting will work for them. They may have tried before without success, or they feel their financial situation is too complicated to fix. This lack of trust can be paralyzing, preventing them from even attempting to create a budget. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. The good news: budgeting isn't a one-size-fits-all process. And with the right approach, it can work for you, no matter how messy your finances feel right now. Now let's dive into a different kind of budgeting challenge. And here's our promise. We'll give you practical answers to make budgeting work for you in a way that can truly transform your life. Beyond the emotional barriers and the lack of trust, there are also practical challenges that make budgeting feel like an uphill battle. These are real, tangible obstacles, but the good news is they're all solvable. Lack of knowledge. Many people feel they lack the necessary skills or understanding to create an effective budget. This uncertainty can lead to procrastination or avoidance, leaving them stuck in a cycle of financial stress. Time constraints. The perception of being too busy to budget is another common hurdle. Between work, family, and other responsibilities, it's easy to convince yourself that you simply don't have the time to manage your finances properly. Complex financial situations. For some, the sheer complexity of their finances, multiple income streams, debt, or irregular expenses can make budgeting feel impossible. Without the right tools or guidance, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and give up before even starting. How can you make budgeting less stressful? We asked ourselves a key question: how can we help you make budgeting less stressful? And honestly, it all starts with changing how you look at it. Here's the thing: budgeting doesn't have to be this overwhelming, anxiety-inducing task. Instead, it can become your secret weapon for taking control of your money and building the life you want. We'll show you how to shift your mindset and see budgeting for what it truly is: a clear, empowering path to financial freedom. Let's take the stress out of it together. It's time to flip the script. What if, instead of seeing a budget as a restriction, you saw it as your ticket to greater freedom and joy? Take a moment, feel free to pause the video here and visualize what financial freedom means to you. Meditate on it. Each time you sit down to budget, remind yourself that you're making a step toward that vision of freedom. And it's not costing you anything, it's empowering you. In reality, a budget isn't about saying no to everything you enjoy. A budget is about saying yes to the things that truly matter to you. It's about unlocking your dreams, whether that's a stress-free retirement, the long-awaited family holiday, or simply the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're in control of your money. Breaking down emotional barriers with 3 powerful techniques. So how do you get past all the fears and discomfort that come with budgeting? Let me share 3 powerful techniques to help you break free from the stress and anxiety often associated with managing money, empowering you to focus on what truly matters and use your finances wisely to turn your top priorities and dreams into reality. Now, picture this, that you've arrived at a beautiful holiday destination with friends and family. Your goal: to enjoy every moment, create wonderful memories, and return home feeling refreshed after a fantastic time with your loved ones. Here are 3 simple steps we recommend to help you achieve your holiday goals while staying financially mindful. Step 1. Start with a small list of expenses and be kind to yourself. Begin by listing the main expenses for your trip. Don't stress over creating a perfect budget. Focus on progress and flexibility instead. Step 2. Make it about your goals. Think about what truly matters. Meaningful experiences with loved ones, not unnecessary extras. Keep your priorities front and center to maximize joy and minimize regret. Step 3. Celebrate your wins. Found a great deal or saved on a meal? Celebrate those little victories. Each one brings you closer to making the most of your trip without overspending. This 3-step technique, though very simple, works for all types of budgets. Let's break it down and see how it works. The 3 techniques we listed can certainly be adapted to various types of budgets: personal, family, project, or business, though they might need slight adjustments depending on the context. Here's how they could apply to each. 1. Starting with a small list of expenses and be kind to yourself. For a personal or family budget, focus on key categories like rent, groceries, and transportation, rather than tracking every single penny up front. Allow room for mistakes and adjustments. For a project or business budget, start with major cost drivers like materials, labor, and marketing, and avoid obsessing over perfection. Use flexibility to adapt as the project or business evolves. 2. Making it about your goals. For a personal or family budget, align spending with long-term goals like saving for a home or family vacation, while cutting back on things that don't add value to your life. For a project or business budget, prioritize expenditures that directly support business objectives or project outcomes, such as investing in tools or marketing for growth while avoiding unnecessary extras. 3. Celebrating your wins. For a personal or family budget, acknowledge small wins like sticking to a meal plan or finding a great deal on essentials, reinforcing positive behavior. For a project or business budget, celebrate milestones such as completing a phase under budget or finding cost-saving efficiencies to boost morale and motivation. These principles are universal. Simplicity, goal alignment, and celebrating progress can be applied to any budgeting scenario with just a bit of tailoring to fit the context. Always remember, budgeting isn't about restriction, it's about empowerment. It's about creating the freedom to focus on what truly matters and making wise choices so your top priorities and dreams can become your reality. We've tackled the emotional barriers with 3 simple but powerful techniques. Now let's shift gears. Now that we've tackled the emotional barriers with those 3 simple but powerful techniques, it's time to turn our attention to the more practical challenges of budgeting. These are the obstacles that make budgeting feel like you're climbing a steep mountain. Things like lack of knowledge, time constraints, and complex financial situations. Just as we reframed budgeting as a path to freedom, we can also reframe these structural obstacles as hurdles that, with the right technique, we can leap over. Let's return to our holiday example for a moment. You've worked through the emotional barriers and set yourself up for success. Now, how do you ensure that you're keeping your budget in check while you're on that vacation, or even when you're planning for a project or business goal? Here's how we can tackle those structural challenges head-on. 1. Lack of knowledge. Break it down into bite-sized pieces. Let's face it, some people avoid budgeting because they don't feel they have the skills or knowledge to do it right. You might feel unsure about how to track your expenses, or you may worry about missing something important. But the truth is, you don't need to be a financial expert to budget effectively. When it comes to your holiday budget, start simple. List out the major expenses, transportation, accommodation, meals, and leave room for adjustments as you go. Don't get caught up in tracking every cent. The goal is to start somewhere and improve over time. The same principle applies to any budget, personal, family, project, or business. For a business or project, focus on major categories like labor, materials, and marketing. Gradually, as you gain confidence, you can refine your approach. 2. Time constraints. Find 5 minutes a day to manage your money. Many people claim they're too busy to budget, and we get it. Life is hectic. Between family commitments, work, and everything else, it can feel like there's no time left to think about finances. But here's the key: you don't need to spend hours at a time. The 5-minute rule works wonders. For a holiday budget, a quick daily check-in can help you stay on track. If you're planning a project or running a business, set aside 15 minutes each day to update your budget. Whether it's entering receipts, checking expenses, or adjusting for changes, small daily actions keep you in control without consuming all your time. Over time, these brief but consistent efforts will make a huge difference in keeping your finances manageable. 3. Complex financial situations. Break it down and automate. For some people, budgeting becomes overwhelming because of the complexity of their financial situation. Maybe you've got multiple income streams, debts, or irregular expenses, which make it seem impossible to stay on top of everything. But just like with your holiday budget, you don't need to tackle everything all at once. Break it down. Start by segmenting your finances: income, fixed expenses, variable expenses, and savings. Focus on one category at a time and manage it well. For businesses or projects, start with the biggest cost drivers like materials or labor and automate wherever possible. Setting up automatic bill payments, savings transfers, or expense tracking tools will reduce the burden on you, ensuring that the big things are taken care of without constant oversight. Whether you're working with a personal budget, managing family finances, running a project, or overseeing a business budget, the principles of simplicity, goal alignment, and celebrating small wins can be applied universally. The key is to adapt them to fit your specific situation. Remember, budgeting isn't about restriction. It's about empowerment. It's about giving yourself the freedom to make wise choices and prioritize what matters most. When you tackle both the emotional and structural challenges of budgeting, you're not just managing money, you're paving the way for the future you want, whether that's a dream holiday, financial security, or a thriving business. We've explored emotional barriers and structural obstacles to budgeting, and now it's time to put it all into action. Are you ready to transform budgeting into a true path to financial freedom? In our next video, we'll dive deeper into practical steps to get started. If you've learned something new or found this helpful, please leave a comment below the video. That way, we can focus on sharing the knowledge that matters most to you. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And feel free to browse our video catalog.